Nisambula Vinaka Fiji, and a warm welcome to Speak Your Mind. I'm Louise Kaunisella, and I have a very good guest today. The Ministry of Youth and Sports, we know, are responsible for the formulation and implementation of policies and programs targeted at empowering our youths to create a better future for them. My guests today are the Permanent Secretary, Maritino Nemani, and the Director, Philip Herenico. A warm welcome to the both of you to Speak Your Mind. So we'll just go straight into it. What is the main focus of the Ministry of Youth and Sports?
Thank you, Luis. Bula binaka to our listeners, particularly our young people out there. And we are grateful as a ministry to be invited to be part of this Speak Your Mind program today. And based on your question, Luis, the Ministry of Youth and Sports is mandated by government for two very important roles in regards to youth and sports. And the first is youth development, and second is sports development. Youth development centers on the provision of assistance for youths through advisory, education and training, the empowerment and the capacity building of our young people. And these include specific and targeted training as well, which we will delve into later on in our discussion. But for us, as per the National Youth Policy, youth is defined as young people between the ages of 15 to 35.
Thank you, yes.
And so our focus in regards to youth development is towards this cohort, 15 to 35 years. For sports development, it's from 0 till old age.
Well, that's really interesting, because I thought youth would probably have a cutoff age like 24 or something, but 35, that's pretty good.
For 35, yeah. And for our sports function, we focus on the development of sports nationally. We also provide policy advice, incorporating physical activity as well as the development of infrastructure across the nation, development of hard courts and other rural sporting facilities. Perhaps our PS would like to also elaborate further on some of the new directions and the focus that the ministry is currently undertaking.
Yep, that would be great.
Yes. Thank you, Director, and Nisambula Vinaka, and welcome to this program again. Thank you, Louise, for inviting us to this program. Yes, indeed, it's been a delight to come into the ministry to see some of the new initiatives that we have put together for the benefit of our young population in Fiji. We had done some research mid last year after looking back, reflecting on what we had offered before, and we discussed that and concurred that we need to take a different direction, and we need to offer better services, reach out more to the youths, more collaboration, more coordination, more engagement, and also offer services that is par excellence to the youth population in Fiji. And with that in mind, we had gone ahead to develop some of the empowerment and capacity building programs that are actually dealing with real youth issues on the ground. And if we understand that we're going to talk about some of this later in the program, but some of this program that we have redesigned, it was done well before the COVID, and when COVID came through, we sort of said, look, we have done this planning well ahead of the pandemic, and it sits very well with the idea of reaching out to almost the big population out there for the youths, and that's the program that we've designed for the youths, and that's an online program that we have created, we have redesigned. Now we are developing the necessary mechanism to make sure that we deliver and execute these programs and reach out to many, many youths out there. We saw that our last programs for the last 10 years has been doing well so far, but we need to take it to another level. We need to reach out to all the youths around Fiji, and therefore we have to redesign this program to ensure that the impact is great with a lesser cost, more reach, more impact, more benefits, and it's sustainable as well, and flexible learning. That's what we have brought into the ministry when we talk about the new direction. We also mindful of sports as well. What can we do better, and I think we've got our sports senior person is going to be talking about that in terms of our sports engagement with our stakeholders like Fiji Sports Commission, and other sporting federations. Thank you.
Excellent. I mean, it's so good that you come on to the show because at least a lot of people will know what you're doing. So, you spoke about, how the youth can go online, and that is on your website?
It will be going up there very shortly.
Okay.
At the moment, Philip and the team is working with specialists to develop our app.
Okay.
And we've already developed the contents, and we are trying to make it so simple that it's better understood by everybody. Louis, you have to understand that our target youths are vulnerable youths.
Yes.
At all levels. So the content materials will be focused on ensuring that it's understood in a very simple, basic way by all levels of the youths in Fiji.
Yes, that's so true. I mean, simple is always the best. But we'll be back shortly on Speak Your Mind, Gold FM, only the classic hits, the only classic hit station in the country. Be sure to listen in. We're back on Speak Your Mind, Gold FM, only the classic hits, and it's good to have your company. My guests today are the Permanent Secretary, Martino Nemani, and the Director, Philip Hedaniko. Now, I believe, right, okay, you've told our youths that they should never give up in life just because they didn't finish school. And the Ministry of Youth and Sports have the mobile and specific skills empowerment and capacity building training programs. Can you tell us what these programs are?
Thank you, Luis. Yes, that has always been our message to our young people, never to give up in whatever they are engaged in. Life is basically not a bed of roses. There's always bound to be thorns and bristles along the way. There'll be challenges from everywhere. But from the perspective of the ministry, we do encourage them in that sense because we provide them a safety net for those that have fallen out of the formal education system. We, the ministry, government through the ministry, we provide them that safety net where we engage our young people in our mobile skills programs as well as the empowerment and the capacity building training programs. Our mobile skills programs, the word speaks for itself. We take these programs around. These programs, we do collaborate with organizations, with relevant organizations, whether it be in the area of financial literacy or sexual reproductive health and rights, or it's in the area of gender-based violence. We do collaborate with relevant stakeholders, and so we do take this training to communities where we help capacity build them in these areas. And the same goes for our skills program as well. Our specific skills program, in some areas we do conduct small engine repairs in communities. These training programs not only help capacity build them, but also provide them employability skills so that they can at least earn some sort of money, and that it helps improve their livelihood.
Yeah, because of trade, eh?
Yes,
I mean,
yes,
if you're
yes.
not really, you can't make it in school intellectually, but you can still make a lot of money, doing a trade.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And our targeted programs or our specific skills programs, these are the ones that we offer at our youth training centers. And we have 5 youth training centers across the country.
Okay.
We have one in Nassau, in Sigatoka, which offers agriculture training as well as basic carpentry. We also have one in Nalemba that offers carpentry as well. We have one in Nangere that offers carpentry and agriculture as well.
Excellent.
And we have one in Yavitu, that's in Kandabo.
Yeah.
And also our 5th youth training center is the one here in Suba in Nasino Valley Levu, which offers music. And for the information of the public and our young people who are listening out there, our programs are accredited under the Fiji Qualification Framework through the Fiji Higher Education Commission.
Amazing.
So
Yeah.
these are some of the things that we have just recently upgraded our programs to ensure that our programs are recognized.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
that's really good. So, how can youth be a part of this training? How do they get in touch with you to be able to attend these trainings?
Our training programs, Luis, advertised in the dailies
Okay.
for enrollment and
Okay.
intake of for those who are interested.
Okay.
And then there is a process, the normal process of
Right.
enrollment takes place, and then those who are successful are then taken into our programs. But one important thing that I thought I would share is that our programs offered almost free of charge to our young people.
Okay.
Very minimal cost. If there is a cost, it is very minimal. Most of it is subsidized by government, just to ensure that we empower and provide that pathway for our young people. As I had mentioned, these are school dropouts, and we are trying to give them another opportunity to education and or even employment or whatever it is. So through government's assistance, we provide them that pathway, could be back to formal education, to the mainstream education, or an opportunity to employment.
This is
Yeah.
really good.
Yes, thank you, Director Luis. And if I could just add on to what the Director had shared, part of the new direction that we've taken was identify some of the key training learnings that would probably back up the offerings that we currently have. That's basically looking at the market, look at the employment market, look at the needs out there, and see that what other very basic jobs, skills that they can learn so that they could get to the market.
Right.
And I'm talking about job market. So over the couple of months ago, before COVID-19, we have come up with some new programs that would like to incorporate into the training centers. One of that would be something like tile laying, brick laying, simple painting skills. A lot of people, painting is a skill, Luis.
Yes.
No, not everybody can paint.
Right.
But,
It is
you know,
a skill. Yes.
so
I can't even paint.
We want to offer that, and we in Lambasa in the new financial year, we're going to offer seafarer training. If you look at the news and some newspapers, people are demanding that overseas seafarers, deckhands, simple deckhand people. George Shipping, Gundar Shipping has been talking about it. We
Yeah.
lack those skills. We train senior officers, at MSF, but we don't train simple deckhand. So we are saying that, look, we need this training now in our training center, because those school dropouts, they can do this training, 8 months training. And
Yes.
straight away, they qualify for foreign going vessel as well. Not only domestic, foreign going vessel.
Yes.
Even training for, apart from agriculture and other trainings, these are important tools, important skills that will enable them to have a job, very quickly.
Yeah.
So again, we are training our youths to pick up these skills and then ready for market. The other one that we've incorporated into our program post-COVID-19. I mean, I would say post-COVID, because we were cleared, and then of any case, and now we'll come back. We realized that there are youths sitting idle, and also there are land sitting idle. So our new approach now is to get the youth groups and youths to get consents from landowners or even in their backyards to do farming and contribute to food security in the nation, and that will help in a big way. And not only that, but again, they can be self-sustainable. They can contribute to food security, issues that can be a serious matter for any particular country. And
Very
these are some
well.
of what the new things that the ministry is bringing into the ministry, going forward.
This is very well planned out. Thank you very much, the PS. But we'll be back shortly on Speak Your Mind, Gold FM, only the classic hits. I hope you're enjoying the program. Welcome back to Speak Your Mind on Gold FM, only the classic hits. I'm Louise Kaunisella, and my guests today are the Permanent Secretary Maratino Nemani and the Director Philip Herenico. And we are so grateful that you've taken out the time to talk to us today. And, it's really important. I mean, you brought up on how you have planned such good things for our youth, especially now with the COVID-19 pandemic. I mean, it's an absolutely awful thing that we're going through, but to prepare our youth for their future. And I thank you very much, PS, for letting us know about the great plans that you've made with this backyard farming. You were saying that you are teaching the youths how to plant. So maybe you can give us an example what you've done on that. Is it like, I think I saw something on the Facebook page, wasn't it, Philip? You had planted 100 trees or 400 trees or something like that.
Thank you, Luis. Yes, the ministry is also engaged in planting trees. I think that is part of the ministry's program, a newly developed program that focuses on climate change, and the program is called Youth for Climate Action. And so it was a program that was a collaboration between the ministry and the Ministry of Forestry. The program was launched in Sambeto in Nandi, and then we were able to also engage some young people, about 100 young people who were also employed under the National Employment Center
That was good.
initiative.
So you even paid the youths to do some backyard planting, didn't you? Yeah?
Yes, we did. So Ministry of Forestry, Ministry of Youth and Sports, and Ministry of Employment.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, well, that's really good. Now, we'll go on to the next question, and this will be for the Permanent Secretary. Now, I've seen on your Facebook page post, the Ministry of Youth and Sports, okay, that you discourage youths from taking drugs and alcohol. How much of a problem is it with youths in the country?
Thank you, Louise. This is no secret. Drugs is systemic. You read in the papers, in the TV, and news everywhere that drugs is affecting people in a bad way, and it's sad because it's gone to that level. When drugs are found to be in schools, or even secondary school children are carriers of some of these drugs. It's not something that people want to talk about, because the issue should be how can we prevent this from happening. And on record, this it's over 1,000 students that's been in secondary schools been involved in drugs, carrying drugs, or involved in taking drugs, and smoking and alcohol in hundreds. Now, this is something that we are mindful, that the ministry is very mindful, but also it's a government initiative, and we're so thankful to the government that they are, placing more emphasis with the Ministry of Education, even in our programs, to see how best we can tackle these major issues that are affecting the youths. And now when you talk about the youths, remember these are school children, but are also categorized as youths because of the age group they're in, the secondary schools. Now, if you look at the stats that we have on record, two things that stands out. Secondary school numbers are increasing in terms of drugs, in whatever way, in different forms. Then we have the primary schools, how they are being, the increased level of resistance, and also the way the behaviors have changed, and reacting aggressively to parents, to teachers, and that's been on record. Now,
There's just no respect anymore.
well, that's something that that we have, been discussing. Whether that level of respect can be restored. A civic training.
True.
I remember before, Luis. You travel in the bus, and when old people or women come, the boys, they stand and let the old people.
Oh, tell me about it.
You go past anybody on the street, you say hello, mbula. Those
Give
things.
them a smile. They
Yeah, the smile.
back.
These are the things that are diminishing. You remember when old people
True.
are carrying their bags from shopping, people offer to help them, carry their shopping to their cars.
Exactly.
These are values
That's
that
so
we are
true.
that is missing now from this young, and they are youths of our country. So how do we remedy this? So the ministry and the government is mindful of this, as we are trying to help in whatever best way we can to bring up programs to address this issue. That's why in one of our modules we've got, under law and order module, we've got drugs, alcohol, because this affects young people very badly in a big way. Because we find that when youths get involved in drugs, when they get caught in that web, then they can forget about employment.
Yeah, their mind is clouded and they just don't see anything else positive.
Yes, so that's where we at in terms of how we see drugs being flaunted around in schools, and also we haven't got evidence, but we never know how far it can go down to the primary school level.
That's exactly right. We'll have to come back and talk about that more in a moment on Speak Your Mind. This is Gold FM, only the classic hits. We'll be back in a moment. This is Gold FM, only the classic hits. Speak Your Mind, a live radio talkback show, and I certainly hope you're enjoying it. And if you have any questions, if you want, you can call 3220906 or 7732906. Now, my guests in the studio are the Permanent Secretary, Maratino Nemani, and the Director, Philip Hernico. And, we were talking about drugs just before the break, and it is a serious problem amongst our youths. We have to be truthful about it. And you did mention, and thank you very much for letting us know how it can be a big problem. So what do you think are the causes of youths taking drugs and alcohol in the first place? And how do you discourage them from taking up such habits?
Thank you, Luis, and Philip might want to join me in answering this. But
Sure.
from observation, from research, from just picking up news, here and there in the community, one of the reasons is it's peer pressure.
Yes.
You have some older youths influencing
Yeah.
younger youths. But I feel there is more than that, because every good thing starts from home. I'm sure if we can, the parents, and not everything can be controlled in school. To me, it's secondary. If we as parents play our part in educating our children, talking about freely and openly the consequences of taking drugs and alcohol and smoke, this is going to go a long way. It's about taking responsibility. It's about, Luis, telling them about the harmfulness of drugs. I remember, when we were growing up, this is what our parents would tell us: "Tambu na kan tobacco, can't smoke, can't drink." That's why we finished our school and moved on in life. And I'm sure that is something that is somewhere we can start. Because drugs did not just come to you. someone would have carried through or influenced you.
Influenced you for
you know,
sure.
to
Yes.
take drugs.
Yes.
And you have youths, staying idle.
Mm-hmm.
When youth stay idle, that's
That's
dangerous.
the worst thing. Yes.
And this is why, government and the ministry have come on board to say, look, do your programs and reach out to the community out there to engage the youths. We've moved around, in various places doing through the sports engagement, hard courts and community and rural grounds to engage the youths into some meaningful engagement.
Exactly. I mean, you have such great programs. I mean, if the youth would, be doing something more constructive rather than just loitering around and being idle.
Yeah.
You have such great programs.
Yes, Luis, and this is not government's responsibility alone. I think I will admit that this is everyone's responsibility. It's the parents, it's the school, teachers, it's the relatives, it's the police. It's a combined responsibility for everybody. If you want to make sure that we have a community that is free of drugs, a responsible community that is free from all this abuse. And would encourage youths to take up even sports is a good platform for them to engage in and to remove this idea of even the slightest thought of getting involved in drugs, because sports and drugs do not go together.
Right.
Sports and smoke do not go together. This is it's a powerful platform, sports, where we can engage our youths to keep them away from drugs.
Yes, that's so true. I mean, if a parent is listening now, maybe they can push their child, go to the Ministry of Youth and Sports and get them involved in one of your programs, for instance.
Yes, even, Luis, we also have faith-based organizations which could effectively contribute to this issue as well. And youth issues are cross-cutting. And without the effective collaboration of organizations and institutes, families, and we will not be able to do this alone as a ministry.
True. You can never do it alone. It's, everyone has to be a part of it. Everything
Absolutely.
at home, the teachers, and just pushing your child to do something good.
Absolutely. And I think one other very important thing, Luis, is we need to, parents and even in schools need to start teaching children about values.
Yeah.
Those value-based values about, whatever they want to do in life. Respect is very important. We hardly see that these days.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned earlier on about, getting on a bus. No one's going to stand up for an old person. They just ignore you. No one's...
Absolutely.
Well, I mean, I've been ignored many times, so I know for sure, right? I mean, even I have to stand up for someone who looks sickly and elderly. I just feel that moral duty to stand up for that person. And I feel so happy because, I'm still strong and that person looks sickly. And you just get that feeling of happiness that, you've helped someone.
Absolutely. That feel good for mankind is very important. It balances up a lot of equation, if we look at from a psychological point of view and even a humane, that goes a long way. So all this we try to teach, incorporate in our youth programs, to make sure that, we are trying to bring back those values and teach them the consequences and harmfulness of drugs and, and smoke and alcohol.
Yes. All right then. So, Philip, maybe there's something you might like to add on?
Yeah, for us as a ministry, in addition to what the Permanent Secretary has alluded to, we provide assistance in terms of our small-scale youth grant, where young people do apply so that they have something, a project or a particular income-generating activity that they work on to help them come away from these criminal activities and things like drugs that most young people are engaged in today.
True. You just need to keep them busy, their
yes,
mind
something
busy.
To keep them busy. Absolutely.
So if you're occupied, your mind's busy, you're doing something constructive, you won't even think of going that way.
So the ministry provides this grant.
Excellent.
For them to apply, and once successful, we do provide them assistance for something to help them improve their livelihood and generate income for them.
I mean, excellent, because even now with the COVID-19 pandemic, this is the way to go, to do your own business. It's encouraged. Yeah, but anyway, we'll have to come back soon on Speak Your Mind, Gold FM, only the classic hits. Thank you for your good company. We're back on Speak Your Mind on Gold FM, only the classic hits. I thank you a lot for your company. I hope you're enjoying the program. My guest today are the Permanent Secretary, Maritino Nemani, and we also had the honor of the Director, Philip Heronico. But now we have joining us the Senior Sports Officer, Seri Tambua YY, and a warm welcome to you, my friend. Now, my question for you is, how does the Ministry of Youth and Sports focus on the facilitation of youth and sports development in the country?
Thank you. Thank you, Louise. For the youth and sports development, the structure right now, currently we are working with Fiji National Sports Commission, who deliver sports programs for us in the community. Right. So currently right now, as an example, they are having a water safety workshop that is currently working on right now in the urban area. Right. Drowning is one of the major top 5 fatalities for death in Fiji. So since we are surrounded by water, and also since there is a lot of opportunities that are there for sports as well in terms of swimming, right? For them, before they go into the paddling process of paddling a canoe or sailing, first they need to know the water safety aspects. So with that, we partner up with the Sports Commission, like what was mentioned earlier. We partner up with parallel agencies to deliver these programs for us and impactful programs for the community.
Oh man, that's excellent. I mean, so many great programs, I must say. Now, what specific programs, Seri, does the Ministry of Youth and Sports have for our youths?
Thank you. From the sports sides, well, what we want is that we always deliver this coaching program, and also not only coaching. If you look at the athlete itself or the player, he or she is surrounded by support services. Right? No, not everyone can be a rugby player or a netball player or a football player, for instance. So we also have the support services of either medical specialists, administrators, and these are the programs that we offer in the program that we have for also the modules. So where we have not only that we have athletes who progress through as professional athletes, but come down the line, you will either end your career through injury or it's just by age. So what is it that is next that you can fall back on? That's why we have the youth development that puzzles together this program. So while you're playing, you're also having a backstop or something there for you to move on after that.
Wow. And that's just great planning, I must say, because I know a lot of, you as sports people, they were making so much money, almost millionaires even, but then ended up with nothing and no backup plan. So that's what you're doing. They can create a backup plan. Okay, now with the COVID-19 pandemic, right? I believe there's a COVID-19 certification for all sports. So what is your Ministry of Youth and Sports doing about this?
Thank you, Louise. I'll answer that. Over the past few months, we've been working in collaboration with the Ministry of Health and the Sports Commission to put together a framework of protocols and principal guidelines in our response to COVID-19 through Safe Sports Fiji, what we call Safe Sports Fiji. And we have, altogether over 20, close to 29 national federations that have applied. We have designed a accreditation system where they have to apply, and once they meet the criteria, and we provide that certification, accreditation certificates, signaling that yes, they have complied with all the principles of Safe Sport Fiji through that accreditation, which means that they're free to organize their sports by putting in place measures and protocols for safe sports.
Yeah.
Now that's also complying with our duty of care in terms of the pandemic, COVID-19 pandemic. So right now we have processed and approved 29 national federations that have applied through the Sports Commission. Now, very soon you'll see a lot of these people organizing their competition, which is quite encouraging because we have some bit of normalcy coming back in sports activities.
Yes, I know. I mean, it's absolutely awful. We couldn't do anything before, but now it's 100, right? I believe that can. And then you got
Yes.
these rules in place
Yes,
what you have to follow.
absolutely. Strictly follow those protocols. Health and hygiene. And it's very clearly articulated in the documents that we have.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, PS. As to add on, at the community level, while that certification is at national level, our duty in the community. So, while, say, for instance, if your national sporting organization, say, for instance, rugby, then at the end of the time, we like to have that in the community. But what is our role as well? We need to be implementing partners as well on the ground. It's not only at your national body,
Yeah.
but at the community. It's everyone's duty to make sure that the safety is there.
Yes. So everything is clearly, written out.
Correct.
And everyone needs to read it and follow it.
Yeah.
And if they don't, they get into trouble. Yeah. Well, unfortunately, I mean, the show has come to an end, and I would really love to have you on again next time.
Thank you.
I thank you so much for coming on the show, and the Permanent Secretary, Martino Nemani Vinaka Vakalevu, as well as the Director, Philip Hereniko, and the Senior Sports Officer, Asere Tambua Waiwai Vinaka Vakalevu.
Thank you, Louise.
Thank you. And from me, Louise, on Speak Your Mind, I hope you enjoyed the program. And remember not to forget to like the Ministry of Youth and Sports Facebook page. And they also have a website, so you can see all their programs there for you and keep your child occupied in the good things. Nisamo demanda, look after yourself, and more importantly, look after each other. Vinaka.